all of this you're mentioning is theoretical.
Today, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the consequence other than it being spiritual?
AlMaghrib Institute presents Q&A with Kamal al-Mekki.
Happened here in America. This young guy, he started practicing. And when you start practicing, these are like your best days, the strongest iman. So he was like on a high. And then this girl who was his friend in high school, she called and she said, I'm in the neighborhood. You want to hang out? I'll pick you up. In a few minutes, she was downstairs. He got in the car with her and he told her, I'm Muslim. I'm practicing now. I don't do this. I don't do that. I don't do this. And with him, she's driving him around town as they're having conversations. She stops near her apartment. She says, you want to come in? A lot of times young people, they test themselves. Let me see if I can resist and, be under the shade of the throne. Right? So she said, he said she took him up to the apartment. One thing led to another. They committed zina. But then here's the point of the story. When they were done, she just looked at him and she said, Islam, huh? Just yesterday, Shaykh Walid and I were having this discussion, and he mentioned, I'm not going to mention the name of this country, but this is I don't know how to say this, like a popular Muslim country. In the 1950s, prostitutes had a card and they could legally have, legally work, and by the government gave them a card and it was legal. 1950s is not that far away. Now, some people today in Muslim countries are saying, let's legalize prostitution. And their argument was that the Western argument, or some Europeans making this argument, that it's safer for the woman because now, it's out in the open. She doesn't have to get abducted in an alleyway or murdered. People always, target prostitutes and kill them and murder them. But, the problem with that kind of thinking is that you only look at one side, but you're still making it easy to break up families, still making it easy for the guy to leave work and go into a brothel and commit zina and cheat on his wife. And they don't look at the other side. It's like when they were saying in Sweden, they teach the children from a young age about safe sex, and that's why they have a lower teenage pregnancy rate. But see, for a Muslim, that doesn't fly, because at the end of the day, whether there's pregnancy or not, they're committing zina. And they're little children committing zina. And that's not acceptable. So don't give me a statistic and think that makes everything else okay.
Yeah.
Or they're not going to murder prostitutes. There's still going to be zina. If you're not aware of it, everybody wants a piece of you. They want to critique you. They want to tell you your religion is draconian. It's barbaric. It's this, it's that. And now you got a glimpse of how merciful even the judge and the court system is. Nobody could do that to you anymore. I mean, there's nothing more.
I guess the bigger challenge is, how do you communicate the reality of what the system is versus what people perceive?
Even more importantly to me is you trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Right.
That's
that's for you, right?
But even not only that, you being able to articulate to other Muslims why they should trust Allah. Like, these are debates that get lost every single day, right? It's why should I wear hijab? It's my freedom to choose or not to choose. I think it's backwards. I think it's this. The issue of the notion of zina being backwards in today's society, and it being an issue of just patriarchy or what have you, chauvinism, or beyond that, just, backwardness. The ideas of lowering the gaze, these concepts being completely lost in society now, it's incredibly important that a person sees value in them. That a person recognizes that this will lead you to live a healthy, fulfilling life in this life, and of course an honorable life in this life as well as in the hereafter.
Yeah, and let's not discount the importance of
spiritual health.
Yeah, absolutely, and having self-esteem and not feeling that you are backwards or your religion is backwards. When people know this, I hope they walk out empowered and strong, with their head held high, and they don't apologize for the religion of Allah. And that's really, really valuable. How many times people leave Islam? I'm talking about youth in North America. They leave Islam over fiqh issues. And I would always tell them, so because you don't agree with this ruling, astaghfirullah, Allah's not on his throne anymore? I don't believe in God. You're atheist because you don't agree with this fiqh ruling? And it's a big deal. So someone might say, well, I don't like this, I don't believe this punishment, I don't believe this. And then they leave Islam because of that. That's fiqh, for God's sake. I know someone who left Islam because of a fiqh issue, not even a fiqh issue, a mistranslation in the hadith. He didn't even bother to Google another translation or speak to a sheikh.
People like that are looking for a reason. Are they
Maybe, but he sure killed himself a year later. I came to check on him, he had killed himself. Like, طب يعني. And his name was the kind of name that you might as well just be Muslim, because you're going to get treated like dirt, even if you left Islam. His name was Muhammad Islam. How do you leave Islam with a name like that? Change it to Charlie something.
You know, about the issue of confidence, and you talked about earlier about how being like a young man, it's pretty much a rite of passage for a person to basically commit zina. And you're looked at as a loser if you don't. One of the most, at Friday Night Lights, I didn't get the chance to share his story just because there were so many kids in the crowd.
Friday Night Lights?
Friday Night Lights is a program at Click. It's the hottest thing in Houston.
So y'all don't play football?
No. So the idea was
On
that
Monday we did.
yeah. So on Friday night, anyway. So we were talking about friendship, and we were talking about people who influenced us. And for me, one of the people who influenced me was this young guy named Muhyiddin. Okay.
From here? From here?
No, New York.
Oh, New
when
York,
I was a kid. So
Okay.
I'm like 14. He's probably like 17. And I remember he was like such a strong personality and strong person.
Okay.
Like physically very strong and super strong personality. He's an imam's son. We'd go over to the masjid and he'd, him and his brothers or whatever, they'd always be watching kung fu movies, which apparently are
My
like
kind of guy.
Yeah, the most halal movies in the world.
Right.
But just physically very strong and super strong personality. Like super strong Islamic personality. Like people who, we would normally hear like uncles talking about Islam like that. But the kids, we weren't talking about Islam, right? So when you see like a kid talking about Islam, it was very different. So I remember him talking to us about how like he planned on getting married at 25, and he was like,
Like 25 specifically.
he's like, because the Prophet ﷺ got married at 25. He literally said that. He's like, the Prophet ﷺ got married at 25. I want to get married at 25.
How old is he now?
He was like 17 at that
He's probably
point.
like 40 now, right?
So he was like 17, and he was like, again, bigger than us.
Yeah.
And we looked up to him because he was so strong and personality-wise,
Yeah.
so engaging and stuff. And he was like, he's like, and I tell people all the time, I'm a virgin. He's like, and he just said it so matter-of-factly, so proudly.
Yeah.
It was so different than what you would normally get at school, right? Which is, this is something that you hide, it's something that you're embarrassed about. But at the same time, he's the type of person that nobody would make fun of him for.
Yeah.
They didn't dare, right?
I find it, even if somebody was proud about it and strong with it, people still make fun of you for it.
Not him. That's the point.
Okay.
Is that if you have confidence, not just confidence, but it helps if you're like Umar ibn Khattab, right? Or or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but if you have enough of those people doing that, then hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, you create a shift in the culture. And at the same time, embracing your oddity.